Watching Heaven Sent, Hellbound, the best of the Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels, Jeremy Borash here along with the Fallen Angel. And we're going to take you back now to 1994, Battle of the Belts 4. The month was the month of May, and this is courtesy of Windy City Wrestling. Fallen Angel, welcome to your DVD, I guess we could say.
Thank you very much. Finally glad to have the DVD coming out. And glad to have this match as part of it, a little special added attraction to show my fans kind of where I've come from. So
this being May of 1994, how many years in the wrestling business had you been going at?
I just finished my first year. My first big match was the year previous at Battle of the Belts 3, and that was my third match, and so I'd had a year of wrestling at this point. Maybe 30 matches at most.
Really?
Yeah, it was very
early.
Yeah.
Well, you were in there with Danny Dominion, who was kind of a mainstay of the Chicago scene. Ace Steel there, who some of you may recognize, came out to the ring with him. Also, let's kind of give, those are lovely pants, by the way, everybody's wearing there.
I always liked Danny's the suspenders look, but the funny thing was, once he had those made, it was so different looking, and then he would start to wrestle and he'd take them down, and I was like, well, that didn't make any sense, but that was Danny for you.
After, are also at ringside, Ken Erickson, Kevin Quinn, and Ace Steel. There's a couple other people at ringside there. This is the
Bad Boy Brett Saunders. The guys that are in the forefront there are part of the group called the International Males. They were the young heel faction back then. So,
and this is Windy City Wrestling. This was actually in Hammond, Indiana, correct?
Right.
Where this match took place.
The Hammond Civic Center.
And here you come. This is certainly a different looking Fallen Angel than we are used to today for the TNA fans, but this was, well, quite some time ago. It was 11 years ago now.
This is many years before the Fallen Angel was even a glimpse in my head. So, but there I am carrying the lightweight title. The interesting thing about Windy City was back then and to this day, they had their wrestling split up into divisions. So they had a lightweight, middleweight, and heavyweight. And they were trying to give, this was kind of an idea, they were trying to give younger guys, guys that weren't 250 pounds, were trying to give them an opportunity, what would end up becoming the cruiserweights and the X Division style guys in this day.
You can see some early X Division influence here in your style, as we see throughout the course of the match. Danny Dominion went on and was, kept active, still is active, I guess, on occasion. I actually went over to Australia with him several years ago on a WWE tour. So he, in the ring at that time, for you being in, this being 30 plus matches or something in, you wouldn't have guessed that. I was actually surprised to hear that this was that early in your career.
Well, I feel like one of the advantages that I always had was that I was a fan growing up, and so, like, the truth be told, it only took me 3 months of training before they had me wrestling matches. Not that I was ready to wrestle matches, but I mean, I was ready to wrestle in front of a crowd, and then that's where the bulk of my learning was in the ring. But being a fan, I kind of grasped the concept of it very quickly, and so, I felt like that was an advantage I had, was having the background in it, as it were, of watching it as a fan and understanding the whole idea of it. It came very easy to me in that sense, and so, if it surprises you that it's, I look at it now and I'm like, but... I guess for 30 matches, it's not really that bad.
No, I was very surprised to hear that. This was at the Battle of the Belts 4 show. This was their, every year, their big extravaganza for
right.
Windy City. And Windy City, it's been a promotion that's been around forever. Little history on that company.
Windy City is run by a man named Sam DeCero. He was trained by Randy Savage, and he got his biggest success in the AWA as a member of the tag team called the Max Brothers. And so he started this company here in Chicago up, I want to say in the late 80s. And so he had been going for a couple of years before I started training, which was 93. And they had run shows in the Chicago Amphitheater and were very strong throughout Chicago. And he and Mike Gratchner, who's the vice president, they had been running shows throughout Indiana, throughout Wisconsin, some stuff over in Michigan, and they still, and then the school, which is also part of it, Windy City Pro Wrestling School, is also a part of their organization, and they're still going strong. And like you said, this is Battle of the Belts 4. Actually, this year, 2005, I wrestled on Battle of the Belts 15, and I defended the X Division title against AJ Styles that night.
Oh, wow.
So
Must
yeah,
have been kind of interesting going full circle like that.
yeah, it was fun. It was fun to get a chance to go back where I came from and you know, I feel like it's important to kind of go back to the school where you came from and show them that, you know, it's possible. It's possible to make it, you know. Like a lot of guys, a lot of schools have like the reputation like that you just go in there, it's almost like a money hole. But you want to show guys that it's possible if you just work hard and, you know, you keep your nose to the grindstone that, you know, all things are possible. You know, it's just a matter of getting that good break and being in position to capitalize on a good break. So, I mean, that's really what happened with me. You know, I didn't know, like at this point in my career, I didn't know that I'd be doing it for a living or doing it and wrestling on pay-per-view. I was just like happy to be wrestling. And, you know, to be able to do this for a living now and just know that it's because of the hard work that you put in, it means a lot. And I want to show the guys that it's possible if they do the same thing, that you know, good things can happen to them.
No doubt about it. Here's a little X Division influence I think we're about to see from the very top. Now that's fantastic. I mean, that's that was amazing.
See, that was a big deal back then.
That was a huge
big crossbody in '94 off the top. That was a big deal.
It's
so.
The actual how dangerous that move is, and you know, of course, it goes on there.
Yeah, that was Kevin Quinn. He actually was my tag team partner for a couple years, and we went to Puerto Rico together and wrestled in Chicago together. So.
I guess interesting to note, though, that at the time, that would have been considered a very
high risk
move. It still is a very high risk move. But at the same time, you know, we'll see a couple different things that you have in your arsenal. You kick out, break out here for the fans that I think would be very innovative.
Yeah.
Was Windy City or that's another? Was this a promotion I think that was kind of looking to break new ground and feature this kind of style? Because I would say still, you know, 1994, this was a very innovative match.
Well, I think, like I said, Sam and Mike, they realized that, you know, the style of guy that was coming into the wrestling school wasn't necessarily like the pro bodybuilder type or the 300-pound type. They saw a lot of guys, like when I came into wrestling school, I weighed like 180 pounds. And so they were just trying to make it accessible for those guys, and that's why they've got their lightweight division, their middleweight division. But I think also, too, like the style of wrestling was changing, and so like this was just a facet of the stuff I was watching. Like at the time, I was watching guys like Sean Waltman. I was watching guys like Shawn Michaels, and so it was the fast pace, it was the acrobatic stuff. That was the stuff that I was trying to incorporate into my career. And even like at this point, I wasn't watching a lot of Japanese tapes or a lot of like Lucha Libre, but I had ideas about it, and so I would watch a little bit and try and add stuff that I saw there into my style. So I think it was just like Windy City saw what was changing, and they were trying to change with the business at that point.
Spine buster from the second rope.
Yeah.
Very high impact move. This is interesting to note, though, that, you know, when you are at that stage in your career, the influences that you have and had at the time, and continue to have, I guess, really shaped the style that you have now. And you can see that very early on in your career. So it's almost like, and we're going to see coming up, you do a moonsault that, you know, isn't the best moonsault ever.
Not at that point.
It's close. It's fantastic. So interesting to note, though, I think we see so many of the early stages of your career and your offensive arsenal kind of unfolding here, and so you really you've honed this style from the get-go, really.
I always knew like I wasn't going to be a power wrestler. I wasn't going to be a brawler. I knew that my skill was going to be you know, a little speed, a little quickness, a little flying. You know, so I tried to practice that and tried to get good at that. And over the years, you know, I've taken some things out of the arsenal and put some things in, but, you know, it's just a matter of playing to your strengths and hiding your weaknesses. And so that's kind of one of the reasons why, you know, you copy what you see, you emulate the guys that the style that you like, and those were the guys like Sean Waltman and Shawn Michaels and those guys. And so like the high-speed stuff, like this little bit of action there.
I was going to say this match actually reminded me a lot of seeing old Jerry Lynn, Sean Waltman matches from back in Minneapolis, before when they were wrestling at a little place called Ropers.
Right.
And they were making waves for the kind of matches they were doing. This is very similar, I think, in a very similar time frame.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing, I think, Windy City has really kind of been a a hidden gem in professional wrestling. Like, they've been going strong, they've had the school, they've had their guys come in and out, but they don't really get a lot of publicity, and I think that's kind of a shame because I've always felt they're one of the stronger schools in the Midwest. There's a lot of like good talent there, and you know, just a matter of like getting a break and getting some recognition, you know. So I've always tried. That's one of the reasons why I've always tried to go back and, you know, use the fact that I'm kind of well known now to be like, hey, you know, I came from here and good stuff's happening here.
Now watch the ropes here. Kind of interesting. This is early X division, and you know, the ropes are a little looser there.
I had a lot better balance back in the day. I don't do a whole lot of springboarding now, and that was something that Brian Pillman, actually, I kind of watched his stuff and got the idea of doing the springboard from him, and so I did that for a long time, and that was one of my bread and butter moves, my little spin kick there.
Danny Dominion. Also at the time, both of you guys were, you know, I had heard about both of you in Chicago. Not having the TV exposure there, but you know, you guys were both making some waves at the time too. I mean, it was definitely not going unnoticed.
Well, yeah, it's funny. Like, I didn't have the real grasp of like the internet or the fan, the wrestling fan sheet base. Here we go.
Here it comes. Wow, perfect. And there it is.
Here you go.
Wasn't not the best moonsault ever, as I said before, but
maybe
damn
the first
good moonsault.
The first moonsault ever. It was still a work in progress at that point.
When did you incorporate the second half of that? With the jumping?
You know what? The funny thing, there was actually a Mexican wrestler came to Windy City and did a little training, and he taught me how to bounce from the second rope to the top rope. And for a long time, I did it for a different move, but then I put the moonsault and the double bounce together, and there you have it.
And there it is. Going back to May of '94, the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels victorious, keeping the Windy City Wrestling Light Heavyweight Championship.
Kevin Quinn, Christopher Daniels, having somewhat of a stare down and pointing at their belts. Nevertheless, it is Christopher Daniels, still the current WCW Windy City Wrestling Lightweight Champion. We'll be back after this with Battle of the Belts 4.